Now, Sony is suing Tencent because, well, they made a video game that looks too close to Horizon for their liking. Okay, they just don't like it. Well, apparently Tencent responded recently and felt at Sony a little bit. And Tencent said, fame does not create a trademark. Oh, shit, I got to read this. Tencent is the latest party to respond in the Horizon clone lawsuit with Sony, stating that fame does not create a trademark when referring to Horizon's Aloy. Bro, can somebody tell Nintendo this? Can somebody can somebody just wave this like at Nintendo for a little bit and be like, hey, just because you're famous doesn't mean you own everything, bro. This is still going? Oh, yes, this is still going. For those new to the Horizon clone fiasco, Tencent is under fire by Sony for allegedly infringing copyrights and trademarks with their upcoming title, Light of Mortarim. Sony has already called it a blatant knockoff of their Horizon series and has filed for an injunction. Tencent has now defended itself, arguing that the court did not have personal jurisdiction over Tencent holdings and that Sony failed to sufficiently identify its purported trademark. Oof. Man, these Asian lawyers, they're not fucking around. They are not fucking around. Spotted by Games Radar, the first point of Tencent's defense is very similar to how the company had responded in the past, stating that Sony has brought the lawsuit against the wrong entities. Their points are that Sony has failed to demonstrate purposeful direction, as no Tencent holding employees were present at the March 2024 San Francisco meeting, and no infringing acts have been intentionally planned, authorized, and facilitated by Tencent Holdings. Tencent Holdings notes that although the company has registered the trademark for Light of Mortarim, it is slowly for administrative purposes related to managing trademarks outside of China. The company states that Tencent Holdings was not a part of the marketing, and Sony fails to show enough evidence to suggest that Tencent Holdings registered the game to generate a nationwide audience. In their preliminary statement, it is stated that Sony might be frustrated by the fact that it has to follow the proper procedures and serve the parties that, as alleged, are actually the relevant actors. However, that is not reason enough to allow a deficient lawsuit against defendants that are not responsible for the alleged infringing conduct. Damn, bro. I love, oh man, I love reading this shit. This is amazing. This is amazing. Sony got told to sit the fuck down. Sit the fuck down. You're suing the wrong people, bitches. Bro, that's amazing. Tencent's next point of defense in the Horizon clone lawsuit is that Sony failed to identify a particular consistent trademark. The defense adds that Sony has named its trademark the Aloy character, but has failed to explain what the trademark exactly looks like. The documents add that rather than providing precise identification, Sony claims that the relevant population, i.e. video game players, recognize the Aloy character mark. So they're like, bro, what trademark are you even talking about? Are you talking about the trademark of popularity? Popularity is not a trademark, bro. Damn, Sony. Oof. Sony getting wrecked here. I'm not going to lie. The company added that it may be true that gamers recognize Aloy as a character inside the game, but Sony has failed to identify Aloy's appearance as a trademark outside of the game. The character has been characterized by their attire, accessories, and facial markings, but generalized descriptions are not enough to identify a trademark. God. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. This is great. This is great shit, man. I love seeing companies that try to do lawfare get felted. This is why I'm against Nintendo, because Nintendo is only doing this for one reason and one reason only, and it's lawfare. It's plain and simple lawfare. They didn't have the patents that would protect them from certain video games being made, and once a video game was made that was popular enough to actually compete with them, they got so felted that they decided to get in their feelings and sue Palworld, and then try to add the patents in after the lawsuit was filed, which got denied, by the way. But still, it's like, what the fuck is going on, bro? You guys are clearly doing lawfare right now. So this is why I don't have any respect for Nintendo. Like, I understand. Listen, I get it. Defend your copyrighted IP. I fully understand that, and I fully get that, right? But that does not mean you stifle competition. That does not mean you stifle creativity. That does not mean you go after the company that is not doing anything wrong, but because you thought that it was too similar to your stuff and it was actually successful, you decided to sue them. Because that's the only reason you decided to sue them. There has been so many other video games out there that have released over the last 2 decades that could be compared to Pokemon, and you never sued them for the most part, right? Because they weren't successful enough to be deemed a threat to you. But Palworld, doing the numbers that it did, well, that shit got you in your feelings really quick, and now you wanted to sue them, right? So it's the same thing with Sony. Sony, Sony is one of the number one fucking video game entertainment companies in the world, especially by revenue. So they're looking around and they're trying to do Lawfare too. They're like, oh, well, you can't do this. This looks too close to our popular character. Well, what trademark are you referring to? Well, she's popular. Well, that's not a trademark. Coming to the alleged use of the Aloy character in commerce, Tencent defended itself in the Horizon clone lawsuit, stating that fame does not create a trademark. To qualify as a trademark, a mark must serve as a source identifier for a particular good or service. The documents state that Sony doesn't adequately allege that Aloy's character is used as a distinct source identifier in commerce. Aloy is a playable character in the game, which is why the character will naturally feature in Horizon's content. That doesn't make Aloy a source identifier for the game any more than any other features of the game, such as his large robotic animals or a post-apocalyptic world, both of which also appear in Horizon promotional materials. Oh my God, they're cooking. They are cooking them. Cooking them. Oh my God, bro. Whoever this lawyer is really good. Sony has already responded to Tencent's first line of defense in a previous response, stating that Tencent attempted to avoid liability by playing a shell game with its brands and entities. The response added that Tencent Holdings reports all of its revenue and debt from games on its annual report without attribution to any subsidiary, and it uses the name Tencent to advertise its games, like Light of Moradin, without distinguishing between subsidiaries. God damn, bro. Listen, this was an amazing response, flat out. This was an amazing response from Tencent. And listen, I get people don't like Tencent because obviously Chinese developer, all that stuff. I understand that, but these companies that are trying to do Lawfare, I don't care who they're trying to do it to. When it's wrong, right? And if you looked at the gameplay from Light of Moradin, you would realize that it does not play anywhere close to the same as Horizon video games, right? That's just like they were completely, totally different. And I said this from the beginning, it's going to be very hard for Sony to prove that they own something as vague as like robotic animals, right? Because robotic animals has been a thing for who knows how fucking long now. So you can't sit here and pretend like, oh, well, our game is popular that features robotic animals, so you're infringing on our game. Like that's not how this works. Okay, that is not how this works. So I'll be very curious to see what they do and how they respond to this and where this goes from here. But obviously, we're going to keep following up with this and see what goes on with this lawsuit. But this is going to be a big one. This one and the Nintendo lawsuit against Palworld are going to be two major lawsuits that are going to set the precedent over what's going to happen with future game development and taking inspiration from certain games and making your own game. This is going to set the precedent. Both of these are going to do it. So we'll see what ends up happening with both lawsuits. But let's be real. Most of them are going to be settled out of court. Probably. I don't think these are ever going to go to a real courtroom, but we'll see how this, we'll see how it goes.